Hey kids, so we're here going to do some flying with the Hero 13. This is not the ideal location that I had in mind, but the park I usually go to is full of kids, literal busloads of kids. And then another park that I go to is closed. So this is what we got. Hopefully, I don't need shit. I forgot I have my lanyard. I don't have the clippy bit that goes on my radio, so I'll be lapping that one. That's going to be hilarious. Oh gosh. So right now, we've got the Hero 13 on my 5-inch, and we have the ND32 HB series filter on there. I think it might be a little bit dark. We'll see. I'll also try the 16. And then I'm going to try the ultra wide as well, to see what that looks like from an FPV perspective. I think it'll actually be pretty cool. So anyway, wish me luck. Here we go. All right, time for the voiceover. So here we have the untouched GP log on the Hero 13, about to transition over to the Rec 2020 PQ grade. Let's talk about that for a second. So the Hero 13, one of their big selling points is having an HLG HDR. What does that mean? So HLG is it's what your phone most likely can capture, right? If you have an iPhone, it's a form of HLG. It's using a Dolby Vision 8.1 profile, but it's still hybrid log gamma. And that's cool because the color primaries are Rec 2020, which means you have a lot more color than Rec 709. A lot more possible colors than Rec 709. However, it is still the same fake HDR that the Hero 12 has, which is a rapid double exposure at 2 different ISO levels. And because they're not instantaneous, things like your shadows and highlights will be separated temporarily, so your highlights will lag your shadows will lag your highlights by a frame, or whatever. You can see it when you're using high ISO or less a slow shutter speed. A good example that I'd be using an ND filter with that. It's cool that it's Rec 2020, and after some testing, it is real Rec 2020. It's not just Rec 709 smashed into the Rec 2020 color space. There's actually more color data there, so the sensor's able to capture more color data, and the codec is encoding it properly. However, the fake HDR it looks terrible, if I'm honest. The big disappointing part of the Hero 13 is no Rec 2020 in GP log. You still get Rec 709. Is that a deal breaker? No. But I mean, if you're going to have a log profile, which is specifically for colorists and color grading enthusiasts, you would generally want the best possible quality to come out of that. It's disappointing. It could have been unspaced color. They could have declared GP log being its own color space. And if you've ever used Canon log or S log or what have you, sometimes they don't come out in a specific color space. They come out unspaced, and you have to just work with what you got. Depends on how the file is encoded. H.265 does require a color space. So not having Rec 2020 on GP log is a tremendous disappointment. I hope it'll come eventually with an update, with the software update, because the hardware's there. It's entirely capable of doing it. Anyway, so ND32, and in this flight you can tell I'm super rusty. I haven't flown since June. So you can see my skill level and confidence level kind of increase as we go here. ND32 on the 13 performs exactly how you'd expect it would. On the 12 I had to use an ND32 around this time of day, otherwise the sky would get blown out. So I started off with the ND32. You have the same kind of noise in the shadows if it gets a little bit dark. Super silky smooth motion blur. I am running 30 frames per second now as opposed to 24. Trying something a little bit new here, so everything's in 30 frames per second. And yeah, it is as it does what it says on the tin. Oop. No soft landing. That wasn't so bad, was it? Let's try the ND16 and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, bye. The Hero 13 comes with this fancy little case. Well, I mean the 13 doesn't, but the HP series filters does. And it has a lens cap and then 4 filters. So you can put the original lens inside the lens cap, pop that in there, or you can pop that in the empty space there. So a little bit cumbersome without like a table or something. So I'm just gonna pull a little bit, twist off. Come on. There we go. So some of these filters only have to turn like 45 degrees. You can tell they've got little what look like RFID chips in them. That helps the GoPro know which filter's on. So we're going to take the 16 out now. It says 16 on the side. And I'm going to peel the little plastic off, so it's got the shiny little thing. Also, you notice it's a reflective filter. And I think that cuts down on internal reflections in the camera. I'm not sure yet. So we'll have to, I don't know if we'll experiment with that. It seems fine as far as clarity goes. Doesn't seem any worse. So I'll take that little blue RFID. I'll line it up with this screw here with got the little blue on the body, and twist. And no, it goes all the way on. There we go. Now the GoPro will detect the ND16, and it will try to keep the shutter speed at 180 degrees. So we'll see if it blows over. Like with the 12, I have to use ND32 like midday-ish, afternoon-ish, to get the sky properly exposed. Let's see what the 13 does with the ND16. So this is some interesting results here. Still GP log using the ND16 now. And of course, these are the HP series ND filters, so the GoPro is aware that there is an ND filter on board. For the most part, an ND16 on the Hero 12 would expose properly until I face the sky. And you can tell the sky's overblown, but then it adjusts, right? It bumps into ISO 100, the lowest ISO that it can go. And in order to compensate and further properly expose the sky, it cuts the shutter speed down. So you get the same effect as the ND32, it's just that when it gets super bright, it might get a little choppy. So what does this mean? This means that the GoPro will, it's not a hard locked 180 degree shutter angle like it would be if you used, if you just set it manually in the settings. It wouldn't be, it's not just set at 1/60th. It is trying to maintain that, but when the exposure gets too high, it will shorten that shutter speed. Well, it'll increase the shutter speed, shorten the shutter angle to compensate temporarily, and then it will get back to 180 degrees. I don't know if it's going to do that on the other end of the spectrum, where it'll go beyond 180 degrees in order to compensate for low light. But as we all know, GoPros are garbage in low light. I didn't buy this expecting it to be good in low light. But I am pretty surprised by, pleasantly surprised by the fact that it will make a temporary adjustment to the shutter speed in order to maintain proper exposure. So for me, the ND16 is where it's at. Now, that being said, if you use an off-brand, a regular ND filter, right, like I've been using with the 12, it's not going to know that there's an ND filter there. You're going to have to set the shutter angle manually, and if you set the shutter angle manually, then yeah, I just bailed out there. Almost ate it. If you set the shutter angle manually, it's not going to be able to automatically compensate when things get real bright. So that's one big advantage of the HP series ND filters, despite their price. And also, I said something about RFID or whatever in that clip before this flight. When I came home, I took my Flipper Zero out and tried to scan the ND filters. There's nothing active or reactive as far as electronics go on an RF level. So I don't really know how they work. I was taking my best guess. My next guess would be maybe there's some kind of a Hall effect sensor, and those little magnets are polarized and set at an angle so that when the filter's on, the Hall effect sensor can tell which filter is based on the angle of the magnet. I don't know. It's all magic. Anyway, ND16 is a way to go for the Hero 13 so long as it's an HP series. Works very well, and overall a much cleaner image. All right. Not bad. So now we're going to switch to the ultra wide angle. So how did ND16 fare, do you think? Overexposed, or was it just right? Did the GoPro compensate for the overexposure, or did it let it blow out? Guess we'll find out. All right, so I'm going to put the ND filter back in this little guy here. I still have the original lens inside the lens cap that's in here. Pull this guy off. Drop it in there. Make sure it's lined up with the rest of them. Put the little lid back on. And we'll drop that in the bag. Now, that's not it. There we go. Come on. So, here we have the ultra wide lens. And this one's different. I think it's got 180 degrees to lock. Still the same. Actually, it looks like it's got a QR code more than a RFID. I'm not sure how these work. I'd love to take them apart someday. So what I'm going to do with the lens cap on, I'll put it on the camera, and then I will put that over here. Then I'll take the lens cap off. Okay. Now I got to make sure that it's set in the right mode, so I'm going to turn it on first. Usually I just hit record and go. So it doesn't allow you to use the full 8x7 sensor for this. You get 4x3 or 1x1, and only 4x3 will give you the right information for stabilization. So kind of a pain in the ass. Yeah, it looks like 4x3, 4K 30, ultra wide log. Okay, so we'll turn that back off real quick. I'm gonna pull out my lens cloth here, and we're gonna clean my FPV lens because I can't see shit. So I'm hoping with the extra width, once it's stabilized, this is gonna look like I'm going 1,000 miles an hour. That will be super cool. So I think I'm in love. I've never used the max lens mod on any GoPro before. I don't think this is considered the max lens mod. I mean, it's the same thing, right? It's an ultra wide angle lens. There's some impressive attributes of this lens, though, being able to get as wide as like 170 degrees or something like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. But notice there's not a lot of flaring. There is, however, a notable wash when the actual lens is exposed to direct light. You can kind of tell in the shadows on the left side there. There's like a glow. It's almost like there's a film on the lens, and I know there's not a film on the lens because this is the first time I used it. So having that added glass in there has obviously added some additional optical artifacts that one might have to deal with. Is it terrible? Absolutely not. I love the ultra wide angle, and after running it through GyroFlow, I love, I always do linear distortion correction. I don't do the spherical fisheye look. I don't like it. Some people do, and it's fine. It's not me. But when you have an ultra wide image and you undistort from fisheye, everything looks like it's going a million miles an hour. Look how fast this is. My drone is not this quick unless I really, really push it. So it's a lot of fun because everything looks super fast. I bet if I did turn the distortion down a little bit, it would make things like flips and S-turns look really nice. But when it's fully undistorted like that, everything looks like light speed going in a straight line. I did notice no discernible shift in colors other than that glow that's on the front element of the lens. There's some additional internal reflections. You can kind of see at the bottom of the frame there as I'm approaching the sun. Pretty tame though, all things considered. There's obviously some coating in the elements of the wide-angle lenses that helps cut down on the internal reflection. All in all though, I'm super happy with it. It does look very crisp and clear, despite only being 4K. The only options are 16:9, 4:3, and 1:1 in 4K. No 5.3K, no 8:7 full sensor. So I don't think it's cropped in, but yeah. Okay, that's it. Pack it up, pack it in. Go back. I'm just gonna put this lens cap on. Make sure there's no dust in between, and that should protect it. I guess we're done. We'll see how it looks. Commentary, maybe, as I'm flying. So, okay, love you, bye.